What's up, everybody? Good morning. We are live looking at the Jelly token. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome in, everybody, from YouTube. We are live streaming right now. We're looking at a few different things, but specifically the Jelly token is doing really, really well. We'd set up a one-sided bid ask. It looks like it went out of our range. Renz first. What's up, dude? Wow, that was bad. Let's see here. Yeah, I was buying and selling some of it earlier, and then I'm also DLMMing it here. So you can see this is what I have set up. It's not, it just bumped back out of range whenever it came up here. Obviously, it came up and was working its way down, and so I'd set up a one-sided pool here. Did a hybrid position, so it's half spot and half bid ask. I'm curious to see if it's going to bounce here or if it's going to continue to make its way back up. Obviously, the RSI, the MACD here was showing it breaking back down, but it hadn't crossed yet. So it looks like it might be coming back up, which you can see it did the same thing on the downside here. It looked like it was weakening and then came back up, which is pretty normal for a coin that's pretty hot right now. The volume on this is just crazy high. The 5-minute volume is almost 3 mil. It was 4 mil a little bit ago, so it has come down some. So we're just watching it right now, trying to get a good idea of what's going on. Let me see here. Just gonna put a post out, let people know that I'm live. Yeah, it looks like it might be breaking out here, so we might be looking at trying to buy some of this. Might set up a two-sided position here. We're gonna buy some. Just trying to put a post out. I was kind of trying to figure out when I would be streaming today, and then this token started popping off, so I decided to stream this so that people can see it. Whale games on Jelly, maybe. There's a lot of volume, and normally whenever you see that, Dre, it kind of comes up like this and then breaks back down, but normally it doesn't have this much fight back again, so it is interesting to see. A whale was liquidated by 5 million USD on Hyperliquid. That's why it's going. What about a whale getting liquidated on Hyperliquid would affect Jelly? Are you saying that 5 million USD of Jelly got liquidated or something separate from that? Silent noises. Torment, what's up, dude? I'm doing well. All right, so we had this one-sided pool. It moved up out of range. We just bought some more. I think I'm going to set up a two-sided pool here. So we're going to do a spot. because it seems to have found a decent middle zone here, kind of between this 36 cents and 24 cents, or even up higher. Sorry, the middle is kind of around the 36 cents, where it's at now. And so we're going to set up a two-sided pool here. There we go. And let me refresh this and see if I can get this updated here on the price. Silent noises, but you didn't explain what was liquidated. 5 million USD of what on Hyperliquid? Like what token? What liquidation happened? I haven't seen Twitter talk about it at all. I've been on all morning. Of Jelly? Interesting. All right, we'll set it up right here. Poppy, what's up, dude? Welcome in. So many people on YouTube now. I mean, we have more on X still, which makes sense, but see what's going on with this Jelly token. Holy smokes. That's crazy. So a whale is trying to make HLP, to make Hyperliquidity provider, face a loss of 12 million. That's crazy. Wintermute is the market maker for Jelly. Interesting, interesting. Yeah, this is crazy. I hadn't seen this before. We're going to add another position here with it dropping like this. So we have a spot strategy, right? So it's going to be going both ways. But right now it looks like it might dip a little bit first. And so what we're going to do is add a bid-ask position here as well to capture the down movement. We're going to attempt to. Let's see if we can get it to go through. And then I'll answer some of these questions. This feels like a good spot for spot strategy on the Jelly like this. We're capturing 300% on the 24-hour. So obviously really, really good. We have 7.4K in here, and you can see already how much we're earning. Poppy says, whales are wild. Glad to see you healthy and grinding, brother. Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it. On which pool have you added liquidity? Which step? I'm in the 100 bin step 1% on the Jelly Soul pool. Have you been able to generate consistent profits while the market was going down? I'm still under the impression that DLM is best used in markets going up. I mean, any tokenized, like LPing, anything like that, like does well in either sideways markets or up markets. They do way better always. But LPing, DLMMing in general, you can make money as the market goes down as well. It's just you have to, if you're looking at it from a long-term approach, well, there's short-term and long-term. So the short-term side is that you can set up a position like what I just did here, right? And so let's say the market's going down, you have down positions here. Then you can make money as it goes down. And in the pumps that it has on the way back up, you could earn enough fees to offset any like downward and permanent loss that you would take. And so you can make money in that regard. That's more short term, in that whenever it comes down and it kind of has a little bit of a pump back, at some point you'll want to take profits. And so that's kind of the short term way of viewing that. And then, of course, when you take those profits, if you're in a market you think that's going to continue down, you might want to put those into something more stable. And then, of course, you can use those stable coins to put into other tokens that you think are going to do well. So yeah, I'm glad we set up the spot. We set up this one-sided bid-ask just as like as a precaution if it did pump down. But honestly, where we got in with this two-sided pool on Jelly right here was really, really good. So you can see we bought right here. We're just above where we entered at, or right around where we entered at. And I think we see it continue to move around these levels for a little while. I'll be watching it to see if it does something I don't like. And then, of course, getting out at a time where I feel like I've made a good amount of profit. You can go to, I've been using Sol Meteor AI. And so they'll actually show you your live positions here. But yeah, Pablo, I don't know how to say your name right. I'm sorry. But yes, you can make money in down markets. It definitely is more difficult to do, but it's possible. And so another great way to do it is actually to use DeFi Tuna. And so if you haven't seen DeFi Tuna, it's leveraged trading. And so because it's leveraged, you can actually set up like your liquidity to be in a short or a long. Normally, whenever you set up a pool, like if I set up this 50-50 pool, I'm long Jelly, right? Or if I set up a Sol USDC pool and the price of Solana goes up, I'm making money. If it goes down, I'm losing money, right? So I'm 100% long. And so whenever you do something like DeFi Tuna, they have these really cool charting here. So like, let's say I'm in Sol USDC and I want to set it up like this, and I do like 3x leverage over here on the left. And so basically what I'm doing is I'm actually able to have more liquidity to LP with, right? And so you can see here I'm Sol semi-long, but you can actually go Sol short here like this. And so you're setting up an LP position on like Sol USDC. Because you're 3x leverage, you're going to be earning a lot more. And then you can set your range here. Like let's say we're at 140 now, and I think it's going to go down. Okay. I'm going to set it at 2.5% up, and I'm going to set it at like 5% down or 4% down. Let's do 4.5. We'll do it here like this. And we are short on our borrowed or leveraged position. And so then you can add time here. And so you can see just after like a few days, or after like, let's say 2 days, you can see that where our entry point was here, and anything below that, you can see the curve, how much money we're making. Now, if it pushes too far down, our profits will go down some, but just even after a few days, you can see even after 18 hours, you can see how much I would make on this. And that's because I'm earning 3% a day because I'm 3x on a Sol USDC position, and I'm in a short. You can see if it goes long though, I miss out. And so you can actually on DeFi Tuna, depending on which direction the market's going, you can adjust your positions to be long or short and earn LP fees along the way. So that's another great way to do it. Yeah, Jelly's doing good. We're gonna there's no need to have this one-sided position open anymore. We'll close out of that one. We're keeping our two-sided position open. I think we entered at a really great spot. It's fluctuating really well. It's pumping pretty hard right now. The volume is at 3 million on the 5 minute. And so we're just seeing some crazy numbers right now. Hey, welcome in everybody. Thank y'all for being here. We have over 100 people watching. If you have not seen me before, I do stream at least once a week, if not twice a week, just kind of depending on life and my schedule. I'll also do collaborative streams sometimes with Seb, Monty, with Fabiano, Jesse, things like that, which I may be doing one of those this week as well. So thank y'all so much for being here. I have a lot of guides, a lot of threads, a lot of videos on everything you see me doing here on Sol Meteora, on Meteora DLMMing here, on DeFi Tuna, on a lot of different things. So if you're interested in learning more, you can always check out my live streams or my videos, which you can see on YouTube and on X as well. It's actually pushing up out of our range here, which, hey, look, if it pushes up out of our range, we've made money. I'd be really happy. It's like absolutely launching right now. I kind of wish I would have bought some more, but not sure that I should at this point. We'll just keep holding it and see where it goes. At this point, we've earned a pretty good amount, though. You can see here over $200 already, or around $200. I think that we'll see it pull back at some point here. So it broke up. It's trying to break above this here, which you can see was a significant resistance, and so it hasn't done that yet because it's this bar is still fluctuating. And so I'll wait and see if this one ends up coming back down here off of this, or if it's going to continue to break back up. It'll be interesting to see. Either way, I'm just going to hold this, and if it pushes up out of range, then hey, that's great. I've made a lot of money. And if it doesn't and it comes back down, then I'll continue to farm that as well. Obviously, I'm doing some technical analysis here on this. Just know, like, this is a meme coin. It does have a cool platform that it's backed by, but ultimately it's still a meme coin. And so a lot of this TA and stuff gives me a good idea, but ultimately it can do anything at any time, right? Someone could sell a ton, it could just dump, right? But in general, it's going to give me a good idea of what I think it's going to do to be able to make good decisions moving forward. Yeah, you can see right here, it's hitting a lot of resistance right around this line, lots of sell pressure on top of it trying to move up. But honestly, just way more buy pressure, which is causing a ton of volume. We're at 5 million now on the volume, which is good for us on the fee side here. Our fees are just going up nicely, which you can see here. If we go to Meteor, Sol Meteor AI, I could close out of the positions here. I can compound, I can claim, all that kind of stuff. I do some of it manually, on my own here, but you can see that we're up. This is showing we're up $652. This is our P&L, 12%, because it's assuming or taking into consideration the fees that I earned and the fact that my position where I bought in my jelly is now worth way more. So yeah, it absolutely just launched just now. Let's wait and see what it does here. If it's going to come back down, we might just keep the position open or not. Because essentially here we're in a one-sided position, right? Even though I initially set up a two-sided, it's now turned into a one-sided position. So if I think that jelly might come down from here, then I could just leave this position open. I could also set up like a one-sided bid ask if I think it might come down pretty hard. So there's a lot of options we could do here. You can see it is testing off this previous high here, which will be interesting to see what it does. Dang, there's a lot of buy pressure coming in. That's crazy. Let's see what people are talking about with Jelly. It's interesting to see that someone getting mass liquidated like this would cause this much hype. Yeah, this is crazy. I'm not exactly sure. Yeah. Well, there's a huge dump off. There we go. We're back in range. I expected that to happen at some point. It'll be interesting to see if it's going to keep pumping down or dumping like this. Then obviously we'll close out and just take our profits. Tons of sell pressure. Golly. So you can see we're almost back to center on here. It's dumping pretty hard. So we're going to withdraw, and then we can look at it and see. We use good morning, good night, so we can quickly buy and sell as needed. And so as soon as the pool closes, crazy to see all this price action. All right, we're going to sell here. Obviously, there's a massive dump off happening, and so we'll get out. Let's see where we were. We still, I missed the P&L. I can just go to it manually here, Metlex.io. People are speculating that CZ could be behind the manipulation or could even make it worse as Hyperliquid or a solid perp competitor. Yeah, it's some crazy speculation, dude. This is some wild stuff that's happening here. Obviously, it's dumping pretty massive right now. I'm going to I need to pull up the transaction for this. Let's see if it's right here or if I need to check SolScan. We'll just check SolScan. Make sure we get the right transaction. DeFi activities. This one here, P&L. We obviously lost some profits on the dump. I should have just closed it out higher. Honestly, I was just sitting there waiting to see what it was going to do to see if we wanted to capitalize on it. Is that the right transaction from? Oh no, that's the one that I sold. This is the one that I want. It's not going to be able to pull that up right here. It does look like it's starting to come back up, so that's good to see. There you go. We had like 600. I don't know if y'all remember. We were looking on Meteor AI. There was like $600 or $650 that we were up, and then obviously that giant dump hurt us, and we could have held it to see what was going to happen, but ultimately we ended up selling it. So it is interesting to see and watch. I would definitely be careful. Like the amount of volume we're seeing right now is absolutely insane. And so you can earn some good fees off of this, but there's definitely some sort of manipulation happening here. And so just know that and be careful whenever you're trading. Anytime there's large amounts of volume, there's good opportunities. You know, I mean, we made 6.5% here, which is good. Earlier I had posted and we had made another like 5% earlier. And so that was pretty cool. But yeah, as always, be pretty careful with this. I do really enjoy Sol Meteor AI. You can go to trending pools here and it'll show you all the different pools and how well they're doing. You can see there's other tokens that are actually pretty high up here as well. Let me check out Routine because it's showing pretty good on this pool. And then RFC is showing some decent volume, it looks like, as well. We'll check that out. I don't think RFC is doing super well, but let's see what Routine's doing. If you haven't, you can see the benefit of using Good Morning, Good Night. A lot of people will, it has a small fee that it takes, but this is a trading bot. Any trading bot takes a fee. And so it takes like 1%, which is not very high at all, especially considering like if I would have needed to sell out of Jelly on this dump and there's a ton of volume and I was going to Jupe or to Titan even, the newer one as well. If I was going to one of these and trying to make that trade, it would take forever and it probably wouldn't go through, even if I would have to have set my slippage super high and stuff like that. But because I'm using Good Morning, Good Night on this, I was able to very quickly, with only a 5% slippage set and just a decent priority fee, I was able to sell out of the token very quickly before the big dump happened, right? And so obviously having something like Good Morning, Good Night, even though it's 1%, it's like, well, 1% fee is nothing compared to losing 5, 10, 20, 30% on, you know, because a token is dumping. So yeah, Jelly, crazy price action, crazy manipulation happening. Let's look. Routine was one that popped up. It's all the way down to 2.8 million. And so it's got a good amount of volume, all things considered, but it's just not doing well as it's come down a lot in value. This is a meme, obviously off of the morning routine meme. And so that's become less popular now. It could come back up, but not one that I'm interested in. RFC as well has come down a lot. It's kind of a stupid concept anyway. So we'll keep watching Jelly to see if it stabilizes at all or kind of what happens from here. I'm curious to see off these searches if anybody else is talking about this or what it's looking like here. Jelly, retail investors should not join in the fund for the fear we'll lose money if we make more or less. Yeah, it's always tough getting into ones like that. That's crazy. Yeah, so you can see the pump when it happened, it was all the way down at like 0.009, basically 0.01, 1 cent, and came all the way up to 5 cents. So basically 5x from where it was both here and here. So super interesting to see. I mean, there's obviously a whale who had a large sell-off here. And so this large sell-off just is causing more of a cascade down. So it'd be interesting to see. It did hit this support. And so we'll see if it continues to come back up. That's the one that it previously hit a few times here. Or if it's just going to blow through that and go back down. So we'll wait and see. We're interested in this because there's a lot of volume. We still might make another play on it. But wanting to wait and see what's going to happen here first. So. Let's look at what Solana is doing. I think it's come down a little bit. Yeah, 139.6. See if the chart will load. Come on. There's people that are in a 20 bin 0.2%, which is crazy on Jelly because that's like so tight for a coin that's drastically moving the way that it is. We've been DLMMing Fartcoin, which has been really, really good. Obviously, it follows Sol pretty closely, so you can see it dipping down here. What was I just trying to click on? Yeah, I want to come check out Sol. Oh, what the heck? There we go. Yeah, I wonder if some of the stuff going on with Jelly has caused any of this, or if they're not affected by each other. Can I teach you MACD strat? Yeah, absolutely. So MACD is actually pretty simple. It's really, really powerful. The key is just that you have to follow it very closely, right? And so what I mean by that is it's easy once you've kind of watched it do its thing. It's easy to get an idea of like, oh, I can kind of predict or front run MACD, and you don't want to do that. Even though doing so may cause you to have more profits, it also means that you can get burnt and have some losses as well. And so you just need to be careful of that. Let me adjust this camera. I just realized. There we go. And so this is Solana, right? And so we're looking at Solana. I think it's on a 15-minute. And so you can see both the RSI down here and the MACD. And you can see that they mostly follow each other as well as the price of the token. The thing is that these give us different information, all three of these, right? And so this helps us make an informed decision, right? And so you can have some different lines here that'll show like, you know, the support here around 138 to like 138.5-ish is kind of a big support here, different resistances, right? So we could draw out some lines. We're not going to do that right now. But as far as MACD, so MACD, what it's doing is it's showing you two different metrics, and when they cross like this, it's showing you that basically the buy pressure and the sell pressure that's happening here, right? So whenever we look at this, you can see these lines here, when they cross, they're showing a change in trend, okay? And so a change in trend is important. And you can see here, when you line these up, you can see where the RSI is, you can see where the MACD is, and the token price. And so normally when people are just looking at the price or the token chart itself, and you see something like a red candle or a green candle, then that, you know, something that's significant, normally you'd say, oh, this means that it's now going up, or this means it's now going down. But that's not always the case. And so you want to use other tools like RSI and MACD to be able to make an informed decision about what it could be doing, okay? And so the reason this is important is because if you look at different situations, like over here, for instance, you could be watching Solana here, right? And it comes down like this. And then look at this here, right? Like you can see it looks like it takes a pump back up here. But if you get too aggressive and think like, oh, it's now coming back up, I want to buy here, you can see what happens next. It comes back down, right? And so basically just because there's a small pump does not mean that it's going to continue upward. It just means that there's a short-term one, right? And so we use RSI and MACD, the MACD specifically here, to determine whether this trend is actually has shifted or if it's just like has like a small pump in the midst of a downward trend, right? Because when it's going down, right, it goes down, but there's always some little up actions that happen on the way down, and same on the way up, right? As it's pumping up, there's like right here, right? You can see as it pumps up, there's some little down, right? But you can see here, if we look at the MACD during this pump, even though this dip happened, you can see the MACD line got very close, but it never crossed. And so basically it was showing, even though the buy pressure started to slow, the trend started to slow, it didn't fully cross, and so it was not swapping trends. And so you can see here, as it came close, it then decided to break back up here, okay? Now, once this line crossed here, look, this is a great example of MACD, right? If you're just watching the chart from the left of this, and you're watching it come up, and it has a dip down, and then it comes up and a dip down, up and a dip down, up, and then a dip down here, and then up and a dip, right? You could keep thinking to yourself, oh, it's going to continue up, right? But at some point, the dip down does not continue back into an up. And so being able to see like this right here, where the RSI the MACD lines crossed, you can actually see they crossed, they widened, and then they stayed, right? And so as they stayed, that's showing that there's going to be a continual downtrend, right? Which we did see here. Even right here where it had a little bit of a pump, it still continued in a larger downtrend, okay? And so I use MACD to help me know when the trend has shifted. And so you can see here, if we're looking at this live, Solana is come down, and you can see the red here. And so the dark red just signifies higher sell pressure. The lighter red means lighter. And then also the amount of sell volume. And so you can see like the lower it is, the more sell volume there is. And so when it gets lighter and smaller, that means it's starting to slow, which we can see here, this downward pressure that is happening, but you need to wait. It's still a little ways off. These lines are still far apart. And then you can also see the RSI here is very low. Now with the RSI, so just to finish that, on the MACD, I'm waiting for these lines to cross, and then I'll believe that it's trending in another, in an upward direction. Now, when they cross, we may already see some upward price movement. But again, we can see upward price movement and it's still be in a downtrend. So you don't want to just trust a little bit of upward price movement. You want to make sure that you're waiting for these lines to cross, signifying an actual upward trend change. And then for RSI, you asked about the ranges, Renz, and the range really depends on what we've seen in the past. And so like you can see here, this is a great example. Like Sol came up and then it's come down, but it's only come down to this like 139.5, right? But look at where the RSI is. The RSI is at 26 to 25 right now. It's actually a little higher. It's at 30, sorry. It was at 25, but it's fairly low. And you can see within the past weeks, anytime it breaks below 30, the lowest it's gotten was 18. But most of the time it gets down to that 25 level before it breaks back up, right? And so you can see that the RSI is at or very close to an area in which it may bounce, which does give like credit to the MACD that it is showing this slow. So what I would be doing is I'd be looking for the MACD lines to move closer together. I'd look for the RSI to stay where it is or dip down a little bit, right? And this RSI stands for Relative Strength Index. And so basically that's just showing like the strength of the token in reference to what people are actually, what is actually being bought and sold at. Basically, is it undervalued, overvalued, right? That's essentially what it's showing. It's strength of what the price is at versus what it should be, right? And so when you see it low, it's showing a relatively low strength, which means that it's underbought. And so that doesn't mean it is a good opportunity, but it could be a good opportunity. So basically, I'm just going to watch here, right? Like let's say I'm trading Sol. We see the price coming down. You could, again, think, oh, it hit the bottom here, right? It's hitting a support. You can see it kind of accumulating, but we don't know that. And I'm going to wait. And I'm going to wait for either the RSI to dip a little bit more or stay around where it's at so that I know it's on the lower end. And then I'm going to look for this MACD, these two lines to come together and cross. And once they've actually crossed and start to separate, we'll probably see the price start to move up here a little bit on the actual price of Sol. And then I'll know once it's crossed, once the RSI starts to pick up, that we're moving out of that lower range back up, and the trend is now in an upward trend in which I can potentially buy or set along or something like that. I know that was a lot of words, but hopefully you understood that decently enough. Again, that's on the 15-minute chart. You could do this on a token like Jelly as well. So look, we're looking at it here. It's been in a large downward trend. The lines are getting close together. You can see on the RSI, it came pretty low, but it's looking like it might be moving back up here. If we were to draw some lines, it looks like it's created a new support down here. And so the kind of resistance lines are between these two here. And so we're looking for it to come and break back up above this. These lines cross, and as you can see, the RSI is starting to pick back up. And then if that's the case, then maybe we'll buy some, considering that it could come back up. Another thing I like to watch when making this decision, understood clearly, thanks so much. Hey, Renz, glad to hear it, man. As this starts to come back up here, you want to look at volume. So we're looking at like the 1 or 5 minute volume because this is a meme coin and it's like we're looking very short term on this. You'd be looking at, much longer term than 1 or 5 minute volume for something like Sol or Jupe or anything like that. And so we're looking at a 700K volume on the 1 minute and a 3.3 million on the 5 minute. And so what we want to look for is as this is starting to cross and move up, is this slowing? Is the volume actually dipping down or is it going up? And if it starts to go up, which it looks like it already has some from where it was, if it starts to go up, then that's a good sign. But also it doesn't necessarily, as long as it goes up or stays the same, I should say, that's a good sign. The volume actually could go down and the price can still go up. It just means there's less overall volume, but there's more buy pressure than sell pressure. And so again, just using all these different metrics, looking at the volume, you can see the volume significantly dip there on the 1 minute. We'll see what that looks like moving forward here. And then we're watching the RSI here. So another significant thing here is, again, I use the RSI and the MACD. So I said RSI earlier, I meant MACD to determine this, but we're watching it potentially cross. But again, they're just barely touching or maybe not touching. They're very close. But you don't want to, you can see here, right? Like there's different points in which it gets close. And so there it is. It's starting to cross. But again, we need to let this candle close before we really consider it a cross. And you can see here, there's times where it kind of crosses, but not fully, right? You can see here where like they kind of touch a little bit. So I like to wait for them to start to widen like here or like here. Or like here, because once they get out of this initial cross and they start to separate a little more, that's how you know it's actually a trend shift. Whereas this right here isn't enough information to say, oh, it's now trending upward. And you can use your support and resistance data here that I have drawn out to determine whether this is going to continue up or not. And so basically what I'm looking at here is right here at this 20 or 2.028, there's a resistance. And so even though this is showing that it's trying to move up, we're watching the volume actually dip pretty significantly here. And so you can see the volume's at 350 on the 1 minute, 2.5 million. And so the volume dipping is not a great sign. Again, it could do okay with the volume dipping, but it's not a great sign. And then we're watching it come up to what is, I would consider, resistance. And this is crossing, but it's not super strong yet. And so I'm interested to see, is this going to cross and break back up? If it does break above this resistance and this line crossed and the lines start to widen, then that would be a good point to buy back in. If it doesn't, though, then it'll be interesting to see if it comes up here a little bit. The lines might have crossed a little bit, but it's not really a full trend shift. It was just kind of a short one. Like you can see, there's moments where that happens here and here. And so it's not always a drastic shift, but we're looking for drastic upward swing moves. And so we'll keep watching. One thing to consider is that the RSI is not at the lowest it could be. And so it could mean that this is not going to keep moving up, that this will come down more, looking for the RSI to get closer or to 30 before we would see a big move back up. So these are all things. Poppy said, looks like Jelly is being attacked by Binance. All these random whale wallets going in, and suddenly Binance makes a post on Twitter saying they're going to have Jelly on their exchange. Coincidence? I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. A lot of people have been speculating about that. Where did they say they were going to do that? I might have. It's probably under like a listing. Binance has so many different things. So you can see the trend is starting to move up, right? Which technically it is in a short-term upward trend, but we're looking at like a 1 minute chart. And so short move up like this don't make me super confident, especially when they're coming up on a resistance. You could always swap to the 5 minute as well. And you can see that the 5 minute is still showing that it's in a pretty strong downtrend. And so I like to see the 1 minute and the 5 minute start to agree with each other when looking at a meme coin. And when I'm looking at like Solana or something, I like to look at like the 15 minute and the 1 hour, or the 1 hour and the 4 hour to agree with each other before making any drastic decisions on it. The volume's still the volume's very high compared to like other tokens, right? It's just that it's down a little bit from where it was. It came all the way down to 300K from the 700K we were looking at before. But it could be doing a little bit of accumulation here, starting to move up a little bit. We'll see if the volume starts to pick up at all. And then we'll see if it's going to, what it's going to do with this resistance. Is it going to test and come back down, or is it going to break out? And so again, I could have bought down here, or even right when it crossed here, and I would be up a little bit. But the small amount it's up is not worth it if in the grand scheme of things, it just ends up coming back down further. And so I like to really wait. This is a good sign on the MACD right here, seeing these two lines start to really separate. And so again, I'm using all the tools, all the data that I have. You can see on the 1 minute volume, it's picking up a little bit from 350, making its way back up maybe to 400. And so if the volume continues to pick up or stay the same, but preferably pick up, the RSI continues, the MACD continues to widen here, and then we see this test and it breaks above, then that'll be a really good sign that it's going to continue to move up. But we're just looking at all the different metrics here to try to figure out what's the best option moving forward. I should have gone and done a short on Hyperliquid. Yeah, so Zach XBT, the researcher, found that thanks to SolProl in our chat, found that jelly manipulators, there were two different wallets, were freshly funded via Binance. So it doesn't look great for Binance in that regard. This is so interesting, though. This is like a very low market cap coin. And so there's all this manipulation happening, Binance listing, all this different stuff. Like, it actually might be a good sign that this token's just going to do really, really well, because like people believe in the platform itself. So if you haven't seen it, the social media platform, I actually just downloaded it on my phone. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, I just downloaded the app. It's a cool social media app. And so, I mean, if you have a social media app that could take on something like TikTok and get really big and do really well, and you have crypto, a token behind it, like that's pretty bullish news. And this thing's at what, 25 million market cap? That's so low, like so low. And so it makes sense that there's a lot of price action and stuff happening here. So you can see here, right? Like, yes, I could have bought this off of here and made a little bit, but I like to see a little bit more strength on this. And so I'm being careful, especially just with this token in general, being careful because of the all the stuff going on right now, obviously. You can also see the volume has dipped down drastically now to 200K. And so, yeah, you just have to be careful and watch this. It does look like it's going to dribble off a little bit. All right, let's move on from that. Jelly doing some interesting things. Yeah, see, so we're starting to see the MACD lessen even more on Solana, showing that it could be swapping to come back up, but we'll have to wait and see what it does. We'll continue to watch it, though, there. I don't have a DeFi tuna pool set up right now, but it is something that I like and am interested. I've been doing a lot of videos on them. You can also just do their lending. You can see I'm earning 13.7% on my SOL, very high. And then if you look at like Fartcoin, you can get 72% if you lend it right now. Crazy. Just by lending, right? Like you're just supplying it. You're not having to take on any extra risk or LP or anything. I mean, obviously you have the risk of the token going up or down, which is a normal risk. But outside of that, there's not much. So you can see Fartcoin does pretty well, pretty stable overall. Made some profits there on it. Yeah. People are speculating that CZ could be behind the manipulation or could even make it worse. Yeah, for sure. It's kind of crazy. I'm not going to speculate. It's possible, but no need for me to speculate on that. So it is interesting to see. There's a massive short on Hyperliquid for Jelly Jelly. Yeah, makes sense. Well, maybe that means somebody's going to pump it to liquidate the short. Surprised there's not more people talking about it. Yo, look at the new look at the new Chat GPT. Some of this here. Look at this. Let me pull it up. I don't know if y'all seen the image generation on some of this, but it's really good. Look at this. So I asked ChatGPT to take my PFP and create a full body version of it. I think NFT Tim had done this, and I saw it. And I was like, oh, yeah, let me try this out. Look, this is my PFP. And look at that. It's so cool. And it even kept the little coin background and added one for me to stand on. Isn't that cool? Look at that. So now when I make videos or do content and stuff, I can have this little guy or other poses, and it's super consistent. I can have poses and stuff. So if you haven't checked out ChatGPT, the 4.0 or 4.0 or whatever, it's really, really good. The volume picked back up a little bit. It was all the way down to 200K. It's now picking up 450K. Let's see. I wouldn't be surprised to see this kind of do one of these numbers where it like weakens a little bit, but then comes back up. We'll see. I'm intrigued if it doesn't fully come all the way down here and it just kind of somewhere in the middle here and starts to reverse back up. It might look like it might actually come back up, especially with this large increase in volume. We're looking at 530K here, so that's pretty big. But the MACD is showing that it's weakening, so we'll just see if it crosses or if it's going to work its way back up. It'll be interesting to see. Jelly's training on CoinGecko. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what it does. It's hard to know. That's why we're watching it. Yeah, Binance Futures will launch a USD margin Jelly USDT and MOB USD perpetual contracts. That's crazy. Somebody had posted that the U.S. prepares an attack on Iran, which doesn't seem true, but we'll see. Seems like some more market manipulation. It's so interesting. You know, obviously, like we're traders, we're just individuals trying to make money, trying to do stuff in the markets. And so it's like, you know, this is why, especially in the current market we're in, like you should not be bag holding stuff for very long. You don't need to be like trying to hold on to something that is going to, that you think is going to do well super long term outside of, a few select tokens, Solana, JLP, whatever, different tokens like that. Really, like right now, getting in and out is so important. And this is on a lot of different stuff. Like if you make money, like, hey, take your profits, put it into USDC or Sol, lend it on, whatever site you like I'm doing on DeFi Tuner right now, right? Like this, just set up for the long term, because right now, so many things you'll see them doing well, and it's easy to get caught in something that's doing very well and not take your profits, but just take profit. It's so important, especially in the down market that we're in, especially if you just shift it into something like Sol or USDC. You never know what's going to happen, because you have market manipulators, like people are suggesting maybe Binance, right? But even if it's not them, there's people with large amounts of money. Someone like me that's, buying 15 Sol, like the 15 Sol may be a lot for some people, but for the people that are moving the markets, 15 Sol is nothing, right? We're talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of Solana, hundreds of thousands, millions and millions of dollars. People are just buying and selling, doing crazy market manipulation type things. And so we often just get caught in the crossfire of people trying to make money or shift, power and all that kind of stuff. And this happens on the blockchain. This happens right in our governments, the U.S. government. Obviously I'm in the U.S. and so they'll, who knows, right? People post things about wars, about different scandals, different whatever it is, right? Market measurements, and it just affects the market, and it's hard to know what exactly is going to happen. And so you have to be prepared. It's important to take profits. It's important to set yourself up for long-term success. Yeah, you can have money and do degen things and try to make a lot of money in certain areas really quickly. That's great, but just you need to not have your whole portfolio doing that. And in the current market, you need to not hold on to things too long. That's a great example of it. I literally held on too long and missed out on $300 in profit in a matter of seconds, right? So like, it's a big deal. Hey, we're up to almost 200 people watching. Thank you all so much for being here today. I do stream at least once a week, if not twice or more. I try to keep up to date on all things DeFi. I do a little bit of chatting about gaming and things like that as well. But talk all things DeFi, market, Web3, crypto, all that kind of good stuff on YouTube, as well as my X account. And so I appreciate y'all being here. You can check me out there. I also have my Discord. You can join and chat with us there. And I have different referral codes and stuff. If you do use something like Good Morning, Good Night, or some of the other tools that I've talked about, I do appreciate if y'all use those, because it does help me out a bunch. I'm reading some Twitter stuff here. Here, look, I'll pull this up so y'all can read it with me. I was reading on my other screen. So Zach XBT obviously does a lot of research and stuff like that. So it looks like Hyperliquid Force closed the jelly market and overrode the Oracle price to settle, which was at 50 cents to settle at 0.0095, leaving the attacker with a small loss. Kind of know if they draw the line here, but not when DPRK had reasonably sized positions open with funds from the Radiant hack. Yeah, it is interesting, right? Like, whenever we go from decentralization to centralized, right? Like different entities and things like that have control over funds, closing out different markets and things like that. Yeah, it's centralization in both situations. Yeah, it's interesting how the rules will shift depending on what's going on. So very interesting. Very, very interesting. All right. Well, hey, there's been some crazy stuff happening today. We are watching Jelly here and seeing kind of volume fluctuate a lot, seeing it fluctuate around this price. It'll be interesting to see if it does move up or if it's going to continue to move down. I'm going to stay out of it for now until I know exactly where it's going. But we made a little bit of money off of it. Pretty exciting morning, I would say, on Wednesday. Thank y'all so much for being here. I'm going to go ahead and hop off now. Y'all can check me. Like I said, I'm mostly Mondays and Wednesdays around this time. Every now and then I do some collaborative streams, which I may be doing one later. We'll see. But yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed it. Y'all can always let me know if there's any other content or specific things y'all would like me to cover or go over. And yeah, I hope y'all have a great week. See y'all.